Well, what do Muslims mean when they say this? Hadith is weak, it's fabricated, it's not trustworthy. What exactly do they mean when they say that? Now, I have a clip from Yasser Qadi where he goes over the different gradings of hadith. We don't have to go over that, but essentially, what it's referring to is that one. You like that?
I like that.
I've been trying to improve AI using the AI imagery. So I'm like, let me see what I got. Let's grade these hadith. So AI helped out with that. So hadiths are graded based off of the reputation of the narrators, not the content of hadith. That's really important. So when they say it's weak, it's fabricated, it's not trustworthy, they mean that there's someone in that chain. This person heard it from this person, heard it from this person. Someone in that chain has a bad reputation, and that's what makes it weak. Now, when it comes to a weak hadith, something can be weak, but you could still use it in Islam. You just can't make legal rulings off of it. Like, you can't base what's halal and what's haram off of a weak hadith, but you can use a weak hadith to, like, let's say, encourage someone. There might be a weak hadith about like memorizing the Quran and you get a reward for it. Let's say that's a weak hadith. Well, you can use it as a way to encourage, but you can't make a ruling off of it. So weak doesn't mean it's rejected. There's another category for rejected. It's the fabricated hadith.
Okay.
Right? So not the content is not graded. It's the narrators who are graded. So I have a quote here that says that more attention to the chain of transmission. Scholarship paid more attention to that than to the content of the hadith. So they spent more time focusing on this person from this person from this person than the content. And you might think like as Christians, when you think of historical documents, especially when it comes to Christian documents, you think there's a whole like range of areas that we look to. We look at, okay, what's the dating of the manuscripts? What is, right? We go all these different criterion that we have, right? But what are they interested in? They're just interested in who said it from who said it. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about that? Because
that's weird.
Yeah.
And so it shows like like there would be a favoritism towards like popularity and who likes who, right?
Yeah.
Instead of on actual reliable manuscripts that you can go back and test and look at and compare,
Exactly.
It's a little weird, man. That's really interesting.
Yeah, man. So that's how they have, they call it a science. They call it a science in Arabic. They call it a science of men, like a science of men, meaning the transmitters. We have this science, and it goes into circular reasoning too, because if you think about it, it's like, all right, so someone is saying that I have to trust this person. Well, how do I trust that person who told me I have to trust that person?
Right.
So you can just create like this infinite regress of like, you have to trust this person. Now you got to trust that person. Now that person, and like, where do you lead back to? Yeah. Like if you're just trusting, okay, let me say, all right, I say that, Joe is trustworthy. Well, how do you know I'm trustworthy now? Well, someone said I'm trustworthy. So now how do you know that guy's trustworthy? And so that's really what their science is. And like basic, yeah. It's crazy, right?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful, bro.
All right, so hadiths are graded based off the reputation of the narrators, not based off the content of the hadith. Now, like I said, I have a clip here, but we can just skip that because I know we got Muslims lined up, so we don't want to take too much time. So the question now comes, what makes a hadith narrator reliable, right? So, okay, we have this chain of transmission. So-and-so heard it from so-and-so, ultimately back to Muhammad. Now, what makes a person reliable? There's 4 different areas that Muslim scholars have used as a criterion for what makes them reliable. Number 1, they have to be Muslim. Number 2, they have to be of a mature age. Number 3, they have to achieve a certain level of academic proficiency. Number 4, moral integrity. I had an idea when I was making this. I was like, if we applied this to Muhammad, I don't think he would pass.
At all, man. academic proficiency. He was illiterate. Didn't had no moral integrity. People accused him of reusing fables and stealing underwear. Muslim. We can even argue that if he was a Muslim or not. I'll make a case he wasn't.
He didn't follow the rules of Islam, right? He didn't have 4 wives. He went beyond that. So I mean, that could be a whole nother thing that we could do someday. Just apply this to Muhammad and see where he'd stand. So the third and fourth category are the ones of interest. So check this out. So the third category, academic proficiency. This means it's broken into 2 different categories: memorization and then attentive literacy / understanding. So basically, they have to be able to quote whatever material that they claim to have memorized. Basically, like on the drop of a dime, like snap a finger, recite it for me right now. How's your memory? Can you recite it? Okay, if you can do that, then check that. Now, the other thing is your understanding level. Are you familiar with like the context of what you are referring to? Are you familiar with how it's been passed down through history? Like, someone used to narrate it like this, but they used to add this detail in. And someone else used to narrate it like this, but they added that detail in. So you have to be kind of attentive to the literary kind of like history of the Hadith, right? So that's the academic proficiency thing. That's what that means. Now, the other one is the moral integrity. Now, check this one out. This one's really funny when I was reading this, bro. So number 1 is conduct / behavior. So are they known for perpetuating sins? And then they actually give you examples of what it means to have ill social conduct or ill social reputation. Check out what they say. One of the things that can get you checked off so you don't have decent behavior is if, for example, you're in public and you're urinating while you're standing up.
Wait, what?
That will get you checked. Like, because as a Muslim, you're not supposed to, stand up while you go to the bed, right? You have to follow the sunnah of Muhammad. So they think that if you are standing up while you're urinating, then you're not following proper conduct, proper behavior. So you can be checked, and we might not trust your hadith because you don't have good behavior or conduct. That's crazy, right? Now check this one out: tugging one's beard in front of an audience. Now, I don't know the context of that one. I can't explain that one, but that's what they say. That's what Muslim scholars say. If someone tugs down their beard, that's considered like bad conduct.
Wow.
Speaking ill of others, that's expected. And then eating or drinking on the streets, that's apparently, bad conduct. So you can get checked off.
On the streets?
Yeah, man, you can't eat on these streets, man.
Man, I felt that. That's crazy.
Yeah, bro. I mean, tugging on one's beard in public, that in front of an audience, that's
wild, man. That's discriminatory.
Yeah, man. So these Muslim scholars of Hadith and Hadith criticism, they use this as a criterion to determine if someone has moral integrity or not. Yeah. And so you could be you remember, it could be perfect. You could know the history of the source you're quoting back and forwards, but if you don't have the moral integrity, like one of these areas, they might not trust you. All right. So then the other one in moral integrity is reputation amongst reliable narrators. So ones who have passed the test of being reliable, what do they say about you? Right. All right, so that's what Muslims mean when they say that a narrator is reliable.
Now that matters. Everybody pay attention to number 2. Reputation amongst reliable narrators.
Exactly.
Right? How do others talk about you? How do others see you?
Exactly.
This is important for this. So for who we're talking about. Okay. Keep
exactly.
Going, Jack.
And we're going to get into it. So I'm going to give you an example now of a weak hadith. So this is considered a weak hadith. Go to just sunnah.com. It's da'if. It's weak. And the hadith is, whoever recites the Quran and memorizes it, making lawful what is lawful and unlawful what is unlawful what it makes unlawful, Allah will permit him to paradise due to it and grant him intercession for 10 of his family members. 10. So basically, if you have the Quran memorized and you basically live it out, then Allah will give you paradise and he'll let you intercede for 10 of your family members who are going to be consigned to hell, to the fire. So let's say you have 10 family members that are unbelievers. Well, if you memorize the Quran and you live by it, then you're going to go to paradise, and 10 of your family members are also going to go to paradise who would have went to hell otherwise. But it's weak. It's weak hadith though.
Yeah.
Okay, so they don't use this in terms of saying this is what Muhammad said. That maybe he said it, maybe he didn't, but it's weak. Yeah. All right, so we're going to go back to this though. We're going to go back to this. All right, so what do these scholars, the ones who judge what makes a reliable narrator, what do they say about the transmitters of the Quran? Because that's our topic today. The narrators of the Quran, specifically we're focusing on Hafs. What do they say about them? And so here's a list of them. And I do plan to go over a bunch of these names, not all of them, but a bunch of them. Right now, we're only focused on one, though. We're going to be focusing on the reading of Asim through Hafs. So 95% of the Muslim world uses this reading. And this is the chain here. The most popular Quran that they use in the world today is the Hafs narration according to Hafs, according to Asim, according to Abi Abdul Rahman, to Uthman, to Ali, to Zayd, Ubay, to Muhammad. Now, what do the scholars, the hadith scholars, the hadith critic scholars, what do they say about these people? All right, so if you took someone, like let's say if you took like Asim, for example, what would you say about his hadith? Is it reliable or is it not reliable? Well, let's check out who's in the chain. If he's in the chain, are they going to say he's reliable or not? So this is basically what we're going to be looking at. Hafs bin Sulaiman, Asim, Abdul Rahman, and then you have the companions ultimately to Muhammad. This is the chain. So if anyone who has an Arabic version of the Quran, more than likely you're going to have the Hafs version, and you're going to find this is the chain of narration. It's on the first few pages in the Quran. They let you know that this is the chain of narration. Chain of narration is not just for hadith. So by the way, when you guys get Quran only Muslims say the Quran only, and they're like, no, we don't accept the hadith, well, that chain of narration that the hadith relies on, also the Quran relies on that as well.
Exactly. Matter of fact, the Quran itself calls itself a hadith.
Exactly.
So
yeah,
can't reject that, man.
You can't reject that. All right, so Hafs. Let's go to Hafs. Is he reliable? And then we want to get Muslims interacting with us after we go through this, because it's not going to be too long, but check it out. We want to see what the scholars say, and then we want to get Muslims interacting with this. So check this out.
Yeah.
A little bit of biography on who Hafs was. Hafs, little biography here. You guys want to screenshot it, take a look at it. This is interesting. He was actually the stepson of Asim, meaning Asim married his mother, Hafs's mother. So Hafs bin Sulaiman. So his biological father's name is Sulaiman, but Hafs had a stepfather named Asim, and that's the same guy he learned the Quran from. Okay. All right. So you could see, they kept it, a little bit in the family a little bit. All right. So this is what they say. Check this out. And you can go over this list with me. If you see one that pops out to you, you just say it out. But, right away, the first couple ones, it says that Hafs is what? Rejected in hadith. And that's a big name who says that. Ahmed bin Hanbal says that he's rejected in hadith. All right. Another big name, Yahya bin Ma'in, he says that he, this narration here, and it goes on to say that Hafs's reading is more correct than Shu'ba. Shu'ba was the other reader of Asim, but it says, but Shu'ba is more reliable than Hafs. Okay, more reliable. We're going to see a little bit more what they mean by that. Other Muslim scholars, Ibn Ma'in, for example, says that Hafs is not reliable. He's not reliable. His hadith is weak. He's abandoned in hadith. These are all scholars here. They said, we disregarded him. We abandoned him. We rejected him. All right. Now, by the way, look at that. The bottom two, that's Al-Bukhari is like the famous Al-Bukhari of the hadith collector.
Yeah, Sahih Al-Bukhari.
Yeah, that's him. He said so this guy who accepted that big collection and made Sahih Al-Bukhari, that guy said they abandoned him. Muslim as well, from Sahih Muslim as well. Abandoned, rejected him. Now, we keep going on. An-Nisa'i, the same one. of like the big six of hadith classes. He's not reliable. He's rejected in hadith. Okay, his hadiths are strange. Now this is where a big accusation is coming up next. Asaji said that he fabricated. He narrated from people and others who fabricated hadith. So he's not just unreliable, but he's narrating fabricated hadith.
Wow.
All right. He's weak in hadith. Then they asked the question, what is his condition regarding qira'at? Like, okay, if you're saying he's weak in hadith, what about qira'at? Then he said, Abu Bakr, Shu'bah is more reliable than him. So Asim had, they ended up picking two students for Asim, and Shu'bah was one of them, Hafs is the other one. This scholar is saying that Shu'bah is more reliable than Hafs. Now check this out, bro. Ibn Kharash says he is a liar.
Wait a second. Hold on a second, guys. What was category number 2 is about? What
Let's go back. Say? Category number 2. Let's go back. Category number 2. All right, right here. Oh wait, hold on. I'm going backwards. My bad. I was going the wrong direction. All right, category number 2. Right here.
Right there.
Right here. Yeah. Reputation.
Reputation among reliable narrators, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
And so we have Bukhari, Nasai, Imam Muslim, who collected Sahih Muslim. All of these guys call it saying that his hadith should be rejected. His hadith are not reliable, and he is a liar. That he fabricated people's stories. He stole folks' stuff and fabricated them.
Exactly.
Reliable people. That's tough. Like let's get back to it. Let's see. So he's
all right. Let's see what else. What else did they say about him?
Wow.
All right. So
he's the guy behind the most popular hadith. I mean, the popular Quran that they read. Right. The most popular version of the Quran they read. It's Hafs recitation.
Yep. Right. So Ibn Kharash said he's a liar. He's rejected fabricating hadith. Now that's remember how I talked about how at the beginning, like weak hadith is like it can still be used because maybe Muhammad said it, maybe he didn't, but more than likely he didn't say it. But you can't make like a legal ruling off of it. The lowest level is this fabricating level because you know it's a lie. You know that it's wrong. It's a lie. Muhammad definitely 100% didn't say that. So he's being accused with the lowest level here of being a fabricator of hadith, a liar.
Wow.
Okay, and so this has to do with his moral character. So Muslims can't just say, oh yeah, in hadith he was just he didn't really they liken it to like different subjects, fields. Like for example, they could say, hey, someone could be really good at mathematics, but then their history might be bad. And so they might be really bad in history. So that doesn't mean you knock them for their
mathematics skills. Yeah.
But this is a moral issue now when you're saying that he's a liar.
Exactly.
Right.
So how can you trust Hafs with how he recited the Quran when you can't trust Hafs with other hadith that are less valuable than obviously the Quran is?
Exactly. So if he's willing to lie in hadith, right? How are you going to trust him in Quran?
Exactly.
Now it goes on. It's more. Now Shu'bah is the other student of Asim, right? He's the other student of Asim. Now he said that Hafs took a book from him and didn't return it, and used to take other people's books to copy them. So he was a thief. He used to take other students' books and not return them back to them.
Wow.
And this is like,
come on, Hafs. You could do better than this, man. I lie, I cheat, I steal. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
All right, so he's stealing people's books and using their books and copying them. Wow. All right, what else, man?
Yeah, man. So again, Asaji says from so and so from Ibn Ma'in that Hafs blah 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 blah. Hafs was a liar. Hafs was a liar. Now, I've heard Muslims say, so this is the second one that I'm reading here, and I've heard Muslims say, Okay, in this context, though, he's being called a liar, yes, but it also says Hafs was more proficient in recitation than Shu'ba. So it's saying out of Asim's students, you have Hafs, you have Shu'ba, he had other students too, but out of these two, it's saying that he was more proficient than Shu'ba. But then it goes on to say that he was a liar. So it's like, bro, like your best student is a liar. Imagine that, like you go to a classroom and your top student is a liar. Like that just shows you how bad the class is.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you want Muslims to come and answer this?
We're just gonna almost finish with this, and we'll yeah, man. So Ibn Hibban, he said that he used to forge and fabricate chains of narration. So he's not just hadith, but he used to fabricate the chains as well.
That's deep.
Can you believe that, bro? So not just the hadith itself. So remember the hadith that we read that Ali Dawah read earlier, saying that if you say that I said something I didn't say, then you're going to be going to hell. Yeah. Well, that they're accusing him of fabricating hadith. That meaning he's claiming Muhammad said things that he didn't say.
House. So you mean to tell me he's being punished in the grave?
Hey, that's what Islam is telling you, bro.
Dang, House. Yeah. That's tough, House. So let's just kind of gather all of this.
All right.
He's weak when it comes to hadith. Mm-hmm. Not just weak, but his hadith is rejected, right? They're advising that people reject his hadith. He's a liar. Mm-hmm. He fabricates chains of narration, meaning he lies about who said what, and fabricates chains of narrations. He also steals people's books and copies them for himself and as his own. Exactly.
Yeah, man.
What we doing here, man?
What are we doing, man? So, bro, so check this out. So I got there's like a whole bunch more to say, and we'll wait. We'll like in between calls, like we can go into more stuff because I have stuff on Awesome. I have stuff on Abi Abdul Rahman. So it's not just Hafs, but the whole chain. We're gonna destroy that whole chain today, God willing. But so before we do though, there's a principle, the biblical kind of way of interpretation that I thought was really useful and like using as an analogy, and it's a Jewish way of interpretation. You find it in the Talmud, but you actually find it in the Bible as well. And so the principle is basically like it goes from something that's light to something that's heavy, like something that's simple to something that's more complex or substantive. So it's like in Jeremiah 12, it says, if you have run with footmen and they have wearied you, then how can you contend with horses? So the logic is like, look, if you can't do it in this thing, then how do you expect to do it in this thing? So if you can't fight and run with the footmen, then how will you contend with the warriors who are on the horses? Like if you can't even deal with the footmen, and then, the Lord Jesus says that, what man among you is there who, when he sees his sheep on the Sabbath falling into a pit, will he not lay hold of it and lift it out? Of how much more value then is a man than a sheep? Therefore it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath. So if you can do that for a sheep, if you can rescue a sheep on the Sabbath, how much more can you do it to a man? How can you heal a man? Right. And, Proverbs 11 as well, verse 31, if the righteous will be recompensed on earth, how much more the ungodly and the sinner? So if it's going to happen to the righteous, how much more will it happen to the ungodly and the sinner? So the principle is like, look, if the logic applies in this area, then it's going to apply in that larger area as well. Like it's obvious. It applies here and it applies there. It's like it's like saying, look, I seen Godlogic playing basketball, right, man? So if it's saying look, if you can't guard Steph Curry, then how can you guard Godlogic?
Come on, man. Hey, John, you spitting hot fire right now, baby. You can always come back, man. That's what I'm talking about. That's right.
Right? So you see where I'm going with this, right? Like if you can't trust him in Hadith, this lesser thing, then how can you trust him in the Quran, this big thing?
Exactly.
You see? All right. So before we bring the Muslims up, and like I said, we got more to go into because God willing, we're going to destroy this whole chain of Hafs today. Not just Hafs, but everyone in that chain. Amen. I want to leave the Muslims before they come up. Here's a question from a Muslim apologist. Look at what he says, and we're going to let the Muslims come up and answer this question. Muslims, you come up and answer this question. You ready? Check it out.
Okay, so there are two people who have, or at least two people who has been attributed to have said that Hafs is a liar. The first is Yahya ibn Ma'in, and the second is Ibn Khiraj. That's the main concern, because Yahya ibn Ma'in is a major scholar of Hadith. So how is it possible that this major scholar of Hadith referred to Hafs as a liar?
Thank you. And so he gives his answer, but we want to give it to the Muslims and see how they answer. How do they deal with that?
All right.